The nature of work is changing with the rise of automation, digital platforms, and other innovations. While there are positive impacts to these, there are also challenges. We are yet to reach the full potential of digitization across the global economy, and this makes it imperative that the younger generation are taught how to use available tools and technologies so they can be equipped with the right skills of the future. On the show today, we chat with Thomas Nastas, founder Innovative Ventures, and he discusses the importance of innovation today.
Glad to have you on Tech Trends today.
Thank you. Appreciate your interest and hope it's as engaging for you as it is for me.
All right, awesome. So let me start by asking you, if you think about innovation today, what comes to your mind?
You know, innovation used to be thought of as just doing research. Now the idea of innovation is getting something into the hands of customers, all right? And how can you get whatever this is into the hands of customers? And if this is what the customer wants, make sure that this is what he or she wants. But don't give them this if what they actually want is this. So innovation is constant interaction with the marketplace, with potential customers, supply chain partners, to make sure that you're bringing something along the innovation chain to what people really want and what they really need, and as a solution to their problems. And sometimes customers don't have a good way to articulate what their problems are. So as innovators, we need to be able to probe and understand what their specific problems are, even if they haven't recognized it themselves.
Yes, but there's oftentimes, sometimes innovators sort of build stuff in their minds or in their heads. How should we ensure that innovators build what customers really want?
Well, there's a couple things we could do. One is we can observe their behaviors, all right, in their daily activities, or ask them to explain what their particular activity is for this particular area that we're probing on them, to try to understand what issues or what solutions they might be looking for, even if they don't know. So for example, you know, before Apple came out with this iPhone, nobody was doing swipe right or swipe left, okay? You were always pressing buttons, all right? And if you observe people pressing buttons, you know, someone within the Apple team said, hey, look, maybe there's a way to do this. But you couldn't ask people, what are the problems? You could ask them, what are the problems with pressing buttons? But nobody said, well, I'm looking for a solution to swipe right or swipe left. So you have to use a little bit of creativity, saying, look, they're pressing these buttons, but there's maybe we can think of alternative ways to be able to interact with this particular device that might be either simpler, more easy to use, and maybe a little bit more engaging, where you engage with it more. So when you look at customers' problems, you can certainly ask them about what their problems are, but you want to be able to try to get information on how they're behaving on a daily basis, and try to structure your questions and trying to get metrics. So if they say, I have this problem about this, saying, well, how many times a day do you experience that? You know, is it one time a day? Is it two times a day? You know, how much money are you specifically paying for this? Not that, oh, you're paying big money for this, but how much money specifically are you paying for this? So you can start to target into what are their particular needs, their particular pain points, and how much money are they willing to spend, or are they spending now to solve those particular pain points?
Okay, let's dive deep into the university environment and how we can drive more innovation from the universities. What's your take on that, first of all?
Yeah, let me give an example. We managed a program in Kazakhstan. It wasn't a fund, but it was a program. It was called the Technology Commercialization Project. And we had $75 million. $62 million actually came from the government of Kazakhstan, leveraged with a $13 million loan from the World Bank. It was a 5-year program. It ran from 2010 through 2015, okay? And the purpose of it was to advance technologies from predominantly, although not exclusively, universities in several different technology verticals. So there's life sciences, there's agriculture, ICT, energy, and materials, those 5 particular verticals, all right? And we were doing these as grants because legislation didn't allow us to do equity investments, okay? But I structured it as like it was a venture capital program, all right? So we did an outreach program to universities throughout Kazakhstan. We built a website saying, look, here's the purpose of the project, and here's how you apply, here's the kinds of things we're going to fund. And we funded projects up to $1.5 million as grants, tranched over 3 years. And that's big money, right? That's very big money, right? And so we got applications. We did what's called a request for proposal from these universities. We looked at, what they were particular doing. And then we went through, we asked them a series of questions. We evaluated their proposals. And then we did face-to-face interviews and meetings in Kazakhstan. And then we did tranches. We did call for proposals over 3 years. All right. And we had each team, give a verbal presentation and make sure that what they were doing. And then we had these universities then structure what we would, the equivalent of a joint stock company in Kazakhstan. Okay. So then we could put money in and we could trace the money and we could watch how the money was being spent. But we set up KPIs. It was a very cool project. So a couple of the projects we did, I think, were very interesting. And they weren't necessarily what we call sort of game-changing technologies that's going to change the world, right? Many of them were very useful for what's called import substitution. So I always encourage people in countries say, look, sure, it's great, and it makes great media coverage and you become famous if you introduce something that changes the world. But there's a lot of needs just locally or regionally where you can do some good and you can make a lot of money and have fun.
Thomas, finally, what would you say around those who say that the fusion of the academia, innovators, and government would create a massive ecosystem, like people always mention Silicon Valley? Do you see that as the same kind of possibility in, say, Africa and other emerging countries?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to take a little bit different path because in the emerging countries, government tends to have a bigger role in the economy than it does, for example, either in the States or the UK or Europe. So there needs to be much more collaborative work amongst the various ministries and universities and academics, all right? Certainly there's going to be a change of attitude and change of mentality on the part of predominantly government people, because a lot of times, and again, I encountered this in Russia and Kazakhstan and Croatia and other countries where a lot of times academics, they look to government as a solution to their particular issues. Government is a partial solution, but actually, they have much more control to be able to do things than what they think or what they can imagine to do. And they're going to have to do some pushing, all right? Because sometimes that's the only way is to push bureaucrats to be more open and to take a sort of much more proactive approach to bringing innovation to market and to supporting innovation in different ways and forms. And that just needs to be done. And that's going to be a cultural behavior that's going to change again over time. It's not going to change overnight. It's not going to be as quick as in the United States or in Europe, because people just have got to become accustomed to doing things a little bit different or thinking a little bit differently. But it's quite exciting.
Exciting, Thomas. When the pandemic is over, I look forward to taking you across University of Lagos and other great universities in Nigeria.
Thank you. And as we implement this project, maybe I could come back to you from time to time and we could give you updates in terms of what we've learned. I think it'd be very interesting for your audience.
Amazing. Thank you, Thomas. Stay safe. Wish you all the best. And
Thank you. All right. Cheers. All right. Bye.